Someone on the internet just explained my entire personality using a theory they invented 45 seconds ago. Thousands of people agreed. None of them have met me. Welcome to the theory epidemic, where psychology became astrology and everyone became an expert on everyone else. I have been observing something peculiar. The internet has decided that every human behavior requires a theory, not a scientific theory, not a tested hypothesis, a TikTok theory, which is essentially pattern recognition performed by people who mistake confidence for competence. The orange pill theory suggests that if your partner won't peel an orange for you, they don't love you. This accumulated millions of views. Relationships that survive wars, recessions, and coordinate breakfast disagreements apparently hinge on citrus assistance. The bird test claims that if your partner doesn't engage when you point out a bird, their relationship is doomed. Ornithological enthusiasm as romantic barometer. Darwin would be fascinated, or horrified, possibly both. Then there's the invisible string theory, not a physics concept. The TikTok belief that cosmic forces connect soulmates through inexplicable coincidences. You both like coffee? Invisible string. You both have childhood trauma? Invisible string. You both exist on the same planet? Definitely invisible string. These are not theories. These are elaborate horoscopes for people who think they're too intelligent for horoscopes. The theories follow a formula. Observe a common behavior. Assign it dramatic significance. Film yourself explaining this revelation. Wait for validation. The algorithm will reward your certainty, so nuance dies immediately. Some will say, if he wanted to, he would. This became an entire philosophy. The assumption being that all human behavior is transparent, intentional, and easily interpreted. Anxiety doesn't exist. Depression doesn't exist. Conflicting responsibilities don't exist. Only willingness. If he wanted to text you back, he would. Unless he's in surgery, or asleep, or experiencing literally any other complexity whatsoever. Then, attachment theory escaped from psychology journals and metastasized on TikTok. Anxious attachment, avoidant attachment, secure attachment, disorganized attachment. Every relationship problem explained through 4 categories, typically diagnosed through a 60-second video featuring someone who has never opened the DSM-5. The actual research is complex. Attachment patterns developed through childhood experiences remain somewhat fluid and require professional assessment. TikTok attachment theory is, he didn't text me back in 4 minutes, he's avoidant. You checked your phone twice, I'm anxious. Time to end the relationship and film a 12-part series about your healing journey. And everyone diagnosed themselves, immediately, with certainty. The comments became support groups for people who learned psychological terminology 15 seconds earlier. I'm so anxious attachment. He's so avoidant, and that's why he has a job. The confidence is impressive. The accuracy is not. But here's what makes this interesting. These theories are not correct, but they are useful, not for understanding reality, for organizing anxiety. Modern life is complex, ambiguous, uncomfortable. People are unknowable. Relationships are uncertain. Outcomes are unpredictable. This is unbearable. So, the internet invented simple explanations that promise clarity where none exists. Let's read the quotes. I finally understand why he acts distant. This is why you keep attracting the wrong people. This is the real reason your friendships fail. Every theory promises the same thing, an answer, a pattern, a reason to stop feeling confused and start feeling certain. And certainty feels productive, especially when it is wrong, because wrong certainty still provides direction. You can make a decision. You take action. It feels like you understand what is happening, even if you're completely misinterpreting everything. The theories also provide something else, identity. You're not just a person anymore. You are an anxious attachment with ADHD tendencies who attract avoidant partners because of childhood emotional neglect, which explains your love language and why you failed the orange pill test. That is not self-awareness. That is a personality horoscope. But it feels like insight. It feels like you understand yourself, which is comforting, even if you're simply labeling normal human complexity with TikTok terminology. And here is the truly efficient part. Once you adopt these stories, everyday behavior confirms them. Your partner peeled the orange? The theory works. They didn't? The theory predicted this. Unfalsifiable frameworks disguise the psychological insight. But we still haven't addressed the actual question. Why are people so desperate for these theories? Why does every mundane interaction require cosmic significance? Because people are searching for meaning in a world that stopped providing it. Religion used to explain everything. Why you suffered, why you existed, where you belonged. Your role was predetermined. Your community was assigned. Your purpose was clear. Even if you disagreed with all of it, at least it was something. Those structures collapsed, or people left them. Pew Research documented that approximately 36% of Gen Z identifies as religiously unaffiliated, the highest percentage in American history. They traded organized religion for this, for theories about orange peels and invisible strings. And the theories function identically to religion. They explain the inexplicable. They promise that chaos has order. They transform random events into divine signs. Their relationships failed not because of incompatibility or timing or the mundane reality that humans are difficult. It failed because he's an avoidant attachment and you're an anxious attachment, and the universe was sending you red flags through the bird test. Everything means something. Nothing is random. Every interaction is a message. Every behavior is a sign. The universe is speaking directly to you through your boyfriend's texting patterns. That is not psychology. That is mysticism with therapy vocabulary. And the comments reinforce this constantly. The universe is protecting you, they would say. This is a sign to leave. Everything happens for a reason, right? The language of divine providence repackaged for people who think they outgrew it. But here's the truly desperate part. The theories also promise belonging. When you adopt a theory, you join a community. Everyone who failed the orange pill test, everyone with anxious attachment, everyone who believes in invisible strings. You are not alone. Others see the patterns. Others understand. And that is what people actually want. Not understanding, belonging, not clarity, connection, not theories. Proof that someone else experiences the same confusion and calls it the same thing. The comments are unanimous. I thought I was the only one. Finally, someone put it into words. This explains everything. They are not celebrating psychological insight. They are celebrating the discovery that they are not alone in their interpretation of reality. Labels help people grasp what doesn't necessarily need to be understood entirely. Anxious attachment is easier than, I have complicated feelings about intimacy stemming from experiences I haven't fully processed and possibly never will. The label is clean, shareable. It also fits in a bio. And once you have a label, you have a tribe. Everyone with the same label becomes your people. You understand each other. You validate each other. You confirm each other's theories about why life is so difficult and whose fault it is. Purpose, meaning, belonging. Everything religion used to provide, now distributed through psychological theories invented by strangers on the internet who are exactly as lost as you are, but film themselves with better lighting. So what happens when an entire generation learns psychology through 60-second videos created by people whose qualifications are, I have feelings and a phone? First, actual human complexity becomes suspect. Your partner has a reasonable explanation for their behavior? Sounds like gaslighting. You need time to process emotions? Avoidant attachment. They want to discuss the issue? Anxious attachment. Every interaction becomes pathologized through the theoretical frameworks invented last week. Second, relationships become performative. People start acting according to their theories rather than authentically. They monitor their behavior, their partner's behavior. Every action gets analyzed through which framework is currently trending. Did he pass the orange pill test? Becomes more important than, are we actually compatible? Third, perhaps the most concerning, people start ending relationships based on these theories. The comments are consistent. He failed the bird test? Leave him. She didn't validate your feelings in exactly the prescribed manner? Red flag. Run. Human relationships, which are complex and require patience, reduced to a pass-fail examinations based on the internet's framework. And then fourth, therapy language became social currency. Boundaries, emotional labor, narcissists, gaslighting, trauma. Clinical terms with specific meanings, now deployed casually to win arguments or avoid accountability. I am setting a boundary means I want what I want and you are wrong for questioning it. The medicalization of every disagreement, the pathologization of every personality trait, the confident misapplication of psychological concepts by people who think watching educational content makes them educated. Psychology spent a century trying to become a legitimate science. TikTok turned it back into palm reading in approximately 18 months. The theory epidemic will not end. The demand is too great. People are desperate to understand themselves, their relationships, their lives, and understanding is difficult. It requires introspection, humility, tolerance for ambiguity. Theories are easy. Theories provide answers. Theories assign blame. Theories organize chaos into neat categories, even when the categories are fiction. Someone just posted a new theory. It explains why people are attracted to theory content. The irony is lost on them. The comments are agreeing. The cycle continues. Humans evolved to recognize patterns. It kept us alive. We saw patterns in weather, animal behavior, and plant growth. Pattern recognition is a survival instinct. But now we are using patterns everywhere, even when none exist, especially when none exist. We assign meaning to randomness because randomness is unbearable. We create theories about orange peels because admitting that life is mostly chaos and love is mostly luck will require confronting a universe that doesn't care about your attachment style. Your ancestors used pattern recognition to avoid predators. You use it to determine if your relationship is valid based on citrus handling. They needed meaning to survive. You need meaning to feel like surviving has a point. The difference is their patterns are real. Yours are just uncomfortable. The orange peel theory has 847 million views. Actual relationship research has significantly fewer. The algorithm has spoken, and the algorithm prefers fiction that feels like truth over truth that feels like work. At least astrology has decency to blame the stars. You blame the oranges, but these are just my observations.